Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today we're going to take a walk through the gardens. We are having a breezy day here today, but we are getting some sunshine, and I think the rain is supposed to hold off for a while. We're supposed to be going up into 90 degrees this weekend, and lately we've been getting a good bit of rain, so the yards here are saturated. Hump up. So right now we are not in a pristine manicured garden state, but we are going to walk around the gardens because we have some good blooms going on. Now last video we were doing some garden cleanup, and I did get inside underneath the 9-bark here and get all the weeds pulled out so we could see the nice blooms of these daylilies coming in. Gorgeous. The orange daylilies are popping off right now, but we also have some Asiatic lilies in here. I think these are going to be a nice dark color, almost black. I could be completely wrong though. And in behind the 9-bark, we actually have some hostas, and it seemed they had some babies because we have some volunteer hostas popping up in the lower bed here that I left growing. And this one's sending off its first bloom stalk. So over the next few days, we're going to be coming into a full bloom with these orange daylilies, and then we're going to have the purple hostas following them up. And some Asiatic lilies speckled through. There's actually one already blooming over on the island peninsula. And we're going to get over there, but I want to show you the pond bank. In a recent video, we did reclaim the pond bank, getting all the weeds taken out of it as well. And now we just have the perennial poppies blooming here. We also have the perennial lupin finishing up its bloom, and I did leave some seed stalks if I want to get those spread out. I left all the stalks on that nice one beside the waterfall so they can mature their seeds, and I can cut those stalks and get them spread where I want them. I wouldn't mind more lupin around here, just don't need it on the pond bank. Oh, the geyser, that was good timing. Oh, she blows. Hump pup, you working on weeding out the rose garden? I brought the wheelbarrow over here last video to get this garden weeded out, but we ended up getting rained out, and then it was dinner time, so we just finished up with a garden update down in the veggie garden. But this garden is on the list. I have some roses that were blooming in there. We actually have the yellow one over there still blooming. But this garden needs some work, and we got rained out last video before we got to it. I don't even have anything on these patio pots yet either. We just have some snapdragons popping up from last year. Still getting some flowers. If I'm gonna let the weeds go, I might as well let the volunteers go. But I like the grown in feel. It's not for everybody though. We have lettuce, Swiss chard here, and some kale over here that I've been pulling off and giving to the ducklings. And then we also have some radishes, and they're going to flower right now. Some beautiful little white flowers we can leave go. Because you have a second chance with radishes. If you don't get to them right away, you can't actually eat the radish anymore. It's going to be too woody. But if you let them go to bloom and then produce their seed pod, you can actually put those seed pods in a salad or just eat them fresh here in the garden. They taste like a nice little crisp radish. So if you're in a warmer climate, it's harder to grow some radishes. But if you just miss your radish harvest, you can let them go to flower and you get a little treat from the seed pod as well. But the ducklings have been enjoying some fresh greens from the cold frame here. We have them over in the bird box right now. I want to get them down here to the pond again tonight. But I worked on getting all the weeds taken out of here and some of the perennials that were done blooming cut out. And my succulent here in the broken pot was getting shaded out, so hopefully that can bounce back now that it's in the sun. We still have the beautiful blue bachelor button blooming, but we also have Chinese forget-me-not coming in, accenting it with its blue. And the carpenter bees love that. And the bumblers. You just don't want the Chinese forget-me-not to go to seed. It has little burrs on it and they get stuck to everything, especially an echo pup. Hump pup. And also blooming still is the penstemon with a little light purple and white. Gorgeous. And if you've been following along on the channel, you've seen that blooming already, but we also have a new flower blooming here next to the waterfall and pond. Huh, Goldie Hawn, do you see it? Right here at my feet in between the rocks, we have sedum going to bloom. And a couple varieties too. We have this smaller stuff, and then we have some taller branching blooms. Gorgeous. Now I have this sedum growing in patches, trying to get it to just fill in some rock crevices. And I'm also getting some volunteers to pop up in between the stones here, so I'll be able to lift those out and actually put them in different spots in between the rock crevices. Really get that to spread out and look a lot more natural like we have it on the waterfalls. Gorgeous. It's looking pretty good wrapping around those rocks right next to the moving water. At least I think so. Hump pup, you getting cool? I just got Echo Pup brushed out in preparation for the 90-degree weather we're about to get. Ooh, a geyser. But he can always hang out at the beach. Oh, fishies, I need to get you some feed. Hold on. We did get this side of the bank cleaned out, and I found some volunteers. We have the cosmos coming up around the pineapple on the stone, and we also had some calendula popping up in the back there as well. And I hand weeded, so I left all the volunteers I could. So I got all the weeds taken out of there, tried to dig up the roots where I could, and we have all these volunteer sunflowers popping up, and I really can't keep them on the bank here, even though they would look gorgeous blooming here on the bank. But my mom does not like tall things on the pond bank here, blocking the view going out to the barn. So I am going to try and transplant most of these sunflowers. I might end up leaving that one. It's not advised to transplant sunflowers, but if the option is cut them down or transplant them, I recommend transplanting them. You're definitely going to stunt them whenever you transplant them, so they're not going to get to the full size. It might be a smaller head sunflower, but the bees are still going to love a small head too. So my plan right now is to probably transplant them, and I'll probably get some over into the pergola garden back there and over into the cut flower garden down there. I make a lot of plans though. But over here we also have some more orange daylilies blooming, and they're surrounded by some purple. We have the tiny little flowered spiderwort in here, and these flowers are actually smaller because it's intertwined with a hosta. And hopefully the hosta is still going to bloom in here. We still have some blooms on the pen stem in the back corner, but we also have the hosta blooming on the other side, or at least about to, putting up some stalks. Oh, and I got a volunteer oak tree in here. Need to get that out before it gets too big. The gladiola's popping up here in the center, so that's going to add some nice summer color. And we don't need this in here. That's a weed. Oh, it was in there strong. Oh, it's been loving this rain. Hold on, we got to get this pulled out of here. There we go. Get it when you see it. Oh, there's a couple in there. Like I said, not everything's manicured and looking perfect. Oh, a couple more. That was a big one. But it's not about looking perfect, it's about enjoying the area. And not only do we have this volunteer walnut here, we have this volunteer hosta growing right up through the bricks. Nature will find a way, and it looks like it's gonna bloom too. Pup. More hosta's gonna bloom in there too. Good. And that Shasta daisy's taking a little bit longer because it's not getting as much sun as some of the other ones. But next to the greenhouse we have another pop of orange color with the daylily on the corner, and another volunteer walnut tree. And of course I still have some things I need to get planted here out of the greenhouse. But I did just get something else started as well. Finally got my watermelons to pop up. Now these aren't going to be giant watermelons, but hopefully we get some eaters out of them. And then I have a few more watermelon seeds in here I was soaking. And then I have my first gourd seed to pop open. I don't have a lot of these, but hopefully we can get this up on the pergola. Looks like there's going to be a birthday later today. Pup. Now things are not perfect in the side garden. I haven't been doing much out front. But it looks like the Lysianthus is starting to bloom. Maybe a carnation here soon. The golden spirea is still blooming there, and we're also going to get some more hosta blooms in here. My neighbor is out gardening right now, so I'm not going to walk out front and start talking, but we do have some butterfly weed that I got established, and that is a perennial now here. So hopefully the monarch butterflies are going to be able to find that. And then we still have the salvia bloom, and I'm glad I didn't hit all of them with the weed whacker. And soon we're gonna get some more yucca blooms. Pup, we're leaving it a little bit wild this year. Now I do have some more blooms out front. We do have the hosta garden, and the Empress Wu hosta, the largest hosta in the world, is blooming right now. We have some of the other hostas that are blooming. We get purples and whites from the hostas. And since I have perennials all over the property in different amounts of sun, I get different cycles of blooms from them, and some of them start earlier than others. So instead of everything blooming at once and then I get a shorter season of the bloom, it ends up being a longer season I get to see the blooms. It's just sporadic through the gardens. There's another rose blooming out in the gardens, and we also have some Asiatic lilies and yuccas already getting full sun here in the front, so they're already blooming too. And the yuccas here are biannual bloomers, so they're only blooming every other year, but we have multiple yuccas here, so I get yucca blooms every year. And some of these flower stalks get tall. And we also have an old lilac tree that died decades ago. I pruned it a couple years ago to try and get some vines to grow up it and make it look like a live tree again. That worked pretty well, but I did notice we have a big bush of new lilac growth, and it's actually shooting up from the same root system the tree was on. And this year we actually got a bloom off of this tree, the first time in probably 20 years. And I also have the chameleon ground cover out here by the mailbox. It not only has nice foliage, but it also puts up blooms. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like my Asiatic lilies are coming up out here that I had. Every year is different in the gardens. But right on cue, we have the clematis vine blooming, and it is gorgeous. I dug the clematis up from a friend's property when he moved in, and he didn't want that there. And as a free plant, it is doing great. Pop. Alright, well, I tried to record and then do a voiceover so you guys could still see the blooms out front, so hopefully that worked out pretty well. If I didn't do YouTube, I'd be a functional mute. Pop, I just talked to you and the flowers, and all the barn animals. But coming out the driveway here, we have the alternating hostas and the orange daylilies, so we're getting some nice blooms already. And like I said, over the next few days, those are going to be coming into full bloom. But we're already getting some blooms over here in the pergola garden. The Shasta daisies here get full sun, so you can see a lot of flowers opened up, and you can see a lot more buds that are ready to come up behind them. And speaking of behind them, we have the firelight hydrangea coming into its full bloom. I think we could call this a full bloom. That is looking gorgeous in this corner, just filling it out nicely. I am still waiting for the canna lilies to start showing any signs of life. Hopefully they start popping up here soon. We've been getting hammered with rain, so I know that they're watered. Still waiting for a spike though. Now here at the pergola garden, I built this so I could actually grow my gourds on it. The gourds that I make into birdhouses, much like this one. And the birds do love these. But as you can see, I don't have any gourds climbing the pergola right now. I just have that one in the greenhouse, and I'm getting a really late start with it. But we have some perennial vines on the pergola to fill in the meantime. Puppy, what are you doing? Just see a tail going. Is it a chipmunk? Handle your business. I think he can handle that on his own. But to keep the pergola full of life, we do have some perennial vines on the front. And the front left post here has the red trumpet vine, and it's starting to put on some big buds. So here on the weekend, it's probably going to be blooming beautifully coming into the heat. Just putting on clusters. That's going to be perfect right above the pathway. And if you're interested in having a red trumpet vine, it is a beautiful vine. It grows very fast, but it is a prolific reseeder. So if you get one, you're definitely going to get two. Don't let that confuse you. We have some dahlias popping up right here. And here, I'm hoping we still get this middle one to pop up. Like many other things, I got these in a little bit late, but hopefully we still get a bloom out of them. I do better with perennials. And last video we actually came in here and pruned everything up on the pergola, and it's looking good. We have the sweet autumn clematis all tightened up onto the post, and hopefully it's going to start pushing more of its growth upward and reach the top before it starts blooming this fall. And that'll have some beautiful fragrance to replace the fragrance whenever the honeysuckle here stops blooming. Another beautiful vine with a beautiful fragrance. And this honeysuckle is doing exactly what I want it to do. If I could get that sweet autumn clematis to the top, we would have a really nice opening here. I want to eventually get this area closed off, and I probably will have to move this crepe myrtle. We have a Grapeolini crepe myrtle right here, and I don't think it's getting enough sun anymore. It gets morning sun and a little bit of early afternoon sun, but it gets blocked off by these big vines pretty quickly. And the crepe myrtles love heat and sun, so I need to get this into a better spot so I can get a better bloom out of her. Pop. We also have a volunteer oak tree right here I want to dig out. I found it whenever I started pruning back the silver lace vine here. And this is one of the fastest growing vines in the world, so you gotta really keep a handle on her. But she still has some nice blooms. Now this one does have a nice natural fragrance to it, but you might want to think about where you're gonna plant it because it does attract black flies. Still gorgeous. And if they're on the plant, they're not on you. And the other thing we did in the last video is fix up the pathway. I had to actually make it bend around some of the new growth that we're getting. Whenever I first put the pathway in here, everything wasn't this big. And I was trying to think what I could do to fill in the gaps here. I don't want to put the mulch in there because it doesn't really stay whenever I sweep it out. And I thought about putting sand in between the gaps, but we don't want to actually track sand into the building. So I'm thinking maybe pea gravel. I might have to get some pea gravel that's actually the angle shard so it can lock into place. I don't want to use the pea gravel from the pond because that round gravel would just keep moving. So I'm thinking about getting pea gravel and just filling in between all these gaps here to try and lock these boards in place. Sometimes when you're walking down the path, your toe can catch an edge and lift it. And I think if I can get that pea gravel in all these gaps here, it's just going to level it off and make it a lot smoother and a nicer pathway. But if I put that in there, I want to put some fabric down first so we don't get the weeds growing up between. It's a process. Now we have the orange daylilies blooming over here, and like I said, the hostas are going to be coming up next. But in the meantime, we have the Shasta daisies popping open everywhere. And underneath the poplar tree here in this little garden bed I made, I have a hedge of Shasta daisies going around this arc. And they're supposed to get enough afternoon sun. Pop. And we also have a yucca blooming in the food forest. Gorgeous. Love flowers just popping up randomly. Oh, I think I see berries. We're gonna have to go in the food forest and look. But I wanted to show you some more Shasta daisies over here, and I don't know how well they're doing because they're in the shade most of the day. It's hard to even get them on camera, they're in the shade so much. But these ones still have flower heads on them, so they should still bloom. This one's a little bit bigger getting the morning sun, and then the afternoon sun gets blocked by the poplar tree. And the gardens are ever changing. Some areas that are sunny now will turn into shade gardens once the trees get bigger. But you know what that means. We have to just keep planting. More nature-inspired designs on whittakersdesigns.com. Now I have done some weeding cleanup here in the island garden, but I don't have a lot of popping color. I just have a decent structure. But out here I think I need some specimen plants. We get some nice blooms on the peninsula side, but we don't have anything popping off right here in the middle. And I also have another pathway in here in the island garden, and I added this pathway once I started putting animals in the barn. I didn't want to have to walk all the way around the island every time I was going out to the barn, so it was just natural to put a path right through here. And as you can see at this point in time, it needs an updating. So I already put that on the list. So there's definitely some work to do out here, but I did see the first calla lily bloom of the season. Hello, little flower. Gorgeous. It looks like a delicate snack, but don't eat lilies. Lilies are poisonous to everything. Pop. There's a lot of things you can eat in the garden, but do some research before you chomp down. Hostas are one. You can eat hostas whenever they're first starting out. They have the young shoots. You can actually steam them up and they taste like asparagus. But don't eat too many or you'll miss the bloom. We have another Empress Wu hosta blooming in here, and then the candy corn spirea right next to it. Gorgeous. It's amazing how small those clusters are. My beautiful black iris over here is done, but it's putting on a gorgeous seed pod. Look at that thing. You can crack that like a nut. I need to let the seed pod finish maturing, and then I can spread that around the pond and see if I can get any volunteers to pop up. And then I can transplant volunteers into the gardens. Another little daisy sitting here at the end of the pathway, just adding a little cheerful smile. Now the peninsula could use some attention like most of the gardens, but we're still getting some beautiful blooms in here from the Asiatic lilies and the yucca. And I have another yucca right there, but it's not blooming this year. And that's why you need to plant more than one when you plant them, so you can try and get a bloom each year. And I really do enjoy the yucca blooms and having the yucca foliage all year long because it is an evergreen here. And we don't get many evergreen shrubs in the Zone 6 climate I'm in. At least not a lot of them that bloom, besides the rhododendrons. But this Asiatic lily is looking gorgeous, and unfortunately it's on its own. We would have to look back on the garden tours of previous years, but I did have 4 patches of these Asiatic lilies back here. We're supposed to have a nice big wall of yellow right now. So that's unfortunate. Now over here I can already see a bunch of volunteer blue sea erigeum popping up. This is going to be a little spiky plant, but it does have a nice little blue flower that the pollinators love. I did plant one of those over here, and it looks like it's right there. Starting to actually color up. Little pine cones. And that plant I put in there ended up reseeding everything else you see. Now, I'm not really sure what this is. Is this some type of aster? It's got a nice flower, and I see the pollinators on it, but I don't think I even planted that there. But I did choose to leave that one in there. It doesn't bother me too much. It has a pretty nice flower on there, and it's giving something to the pollinators. Oh, and on this side of the island, we got our first colored daylily to bloom. Look at this pink beauty. Gorgeous. I do have a couple different colored daylilies popped into the island peninsula here, so we should have a few more coming up as well. So we should see some other colors in here too, and we also have some hostas, of course, to add some more purple color. I actually filled up the island peninsula here with perennials, so it'd be blooming from spring to fall. But I was supposed to keep it weeded. I'm just one person. I hear you, goats. Wrinkles. Folds. I see ya. This is crown vetch, and it's actually very popular to be in seed mixes on roadsides whenever they're just throwing it on a hill. The deer actually like this plant too, so it is considered a common weed, but it's one of the better ones. If weeds are going to be taken over, I think I'd rather have it than some of these others. Humpa. Now we'll take a peek over here in the food forest and see if we have any berries coming into ripeness. We have a blueberry right here, and it is starting to put on a few. Might get a handful out of this. Not sure why this is so small. Now over here you can see we have another weed popping up, but I did leave this one go as well because this is very beneficial to the pollinators and the butterflies. This is milkweed or butterfly weed, but it's a common variety and it's not very showy, but it is something that the pollinators rely on. So I did leave this one go so it can bloom. So I think the more good weeds I leave and let go to seed and the other weeds that I take care of, the better my weed situation will be in the future. It's a process. Now I guess you could consider this part of the food forest, but we have a volunteer oak tree popping up right here and I don't want to keep it. Well, I do want to keep it, just not in its current location. I want to get this moved out into the landscape, into the south garden, because it actually popped up right next to my indigo hascap honeyberry and it is completely killing it. I didn't get any berries from this one this year and I think the roots are getting choked out. Ooh, sunflower. Oh, a couple more. Hump. Right beside Echo Pup is my witch hazel. It's not really a food forest item either, but I was planning on putting a trellis out here, so I plugged in my witch hazel so it can get started. And it's pretty much out of size right now. I can get it onto something. I told you, I make a lot of plans. Hump. We want to get an archway here. I want pathways going through the food forest. It'll make harvesting a lot more fun and even possible to get in there. We have some berries right there. I'm pretty sure I have a raspberry back in there. I also have a fall gold raspberry too. Well, there's a red one. That looks like a red raspberry. These out here on the edge are blackberries. They should be triple crown blackberries, no thorns. But these actually reached out and started rerooting pretty good, so we have a small patch of blackberries right here. They're starting to put on their berries. So in the beginning, I put in triple crown blackberries, so we have a few of those in here. I also put in a bush of fall gold raspberries, some red raspberries, and some black raspberries. What? Just keeping an eye on your ladies. Good. But by the looks of it, the black raspberries are going to be done first. Look, I think I can even harvest some of these. Oh, I think they're ready. Perfect timing on the garden tour. That's sweet. That is good. I haven't had a black raspberry since I harvested them out of here last year, Pop. Look at all the orange daylilies blooming on the backside of the island garden too. Gorgeous, almost in full bloom. And we also have the quick fire hydrangea over here. This one's blooming good. I was worried it wasn't going to get enough sun this year from this viburnum getting so tall. But look at that sunlight just splashing in there. Perfect. Gorgeous. Pop, I'm going to have to get a little basket out here and harvest these blackberries before the birds get them. Oh, we have a bunch more over here too. This might actually be my first good harvest. Pop, I don't want to miss this. And we do have that yucca blooming in there, just calling in the pollinators from afar. And then once they get close, they can start finding the berry flowers. Let me check out these red raspberries in here and see if some of them are ready. Is that a red raspberry? Oh, it popped right off. Oh, that has a nice flavor too. It's so sweet. This is gonna be a good day. We have some fresh berries. All right, Pup, let's keep moving, then we can get these harvested. Those are awesome to see. Just food waiting on me. Perfect. Now I do have a bonfire peach tree here. It's supposed to stay a little bit smaller, but I'm not seeing any fruiting bodies on here. Are we supposed to get flowers later in the season? I'm not sure if the deer damage I got just putting it a little bit slower or not. I don't know, I might not get anything this year since the deer beat it up over winter. But over here on the corner we have the nectarine tree, and I'm probably going to need to prune this thing back this year. But if we look up into the tree, we have fruit. There is fruit up here. But as you can see, it's oozing. I don't think the oozing is good. I'm pretty sure I have some bugs attacking my fruit. But I'm still hoping to get one. Thanks, Rooster. Oh, here's some lower ones I can get a better look at. That definitely doesn't look good. That has a rotten spot on it. Yeah, there's something going on with these fruit. Oh, hold on. Oh, and there are some on the ground here. They just rotted off. What do we have right here? Look at these two. They have spots on them. I'm not sure what bug's getting to them. Or maybe it's something else. There's something going on with my nectarines. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get any good ones. That's not looking good. Well, that is looking unfortunate. Looks like I'm going to have to give the nectarine tree a bit more attention. Oh, that almost looks like a good one. Oh, and another yucca about to bloom down here. And the Shasta daisies kind of got knocked over with the last rain that we had. Now this is something curious here. We didn't get a lot of these blooms this year. The frost actually took them out really early on. There was one azalea that bloomed. It was right there, and that one had a little bit of a later bloom, but you can see it's finished up already. But this one here, I don't know why it's blooming so late, but I appreciate it finally getting to the show. Hey, gorgeous girl. We got a nice pale yellow here, and it actually has a red tip before it opens up. That's pretty. Well, that is good to see. I wanted azaleas blooming in the food forest here. I actually tried to put a hedge here, so eventually I'd like to get a hedge of the azaleas out here in the sun. But these are supposed to be early bloomers, opening up and drawing in all the pollinators whenever the berries are first blooming. I did have some semblance of a plant. Huh, pup? You enjoying the shade, bud? Did you find a bed? You got a nice cool bed now? Just dug a hole. Now I did plant all my berries on that side of the food forest, so these ones over here are just volunteers, but I'm still gonna be able to get some berries from them. Look at these blooming. Got a bunch of berries starting on these. I'll be able to share some of these with the birds. Let me just get one more for a snack. I love a fresh garden treat. So it looks like I'm gonna get some more berries, and these are all from volunteers. Oh, my mouth is just watering right now. Now you will see a lot of these spent canopies of flowers here, and these are actually all valerian. They're pretty much finished up. I should cut these down because the valerian has been spreading pretty good, and the valerian is a medicinal plant. You would actually dig up the root. Not really something I need right now, but I wanted to have some medicinal plants here in the food forest that I could come out and forage when I do need them. But a lot of these are also volunteer privets I need to actually pull out. I have some privets over there in the chicken summer run, and they just keep reseeding in the fresh mulch. Everything loves reseeding in mulch. If you want volunteers, put down a bed of mulch. You'll get plants to reseed, and you'll get chipmunks and squirrels to bring you trees. Pup, the strawberry bed is in the shade, so it is not doing good at all this year, but we do have a live plant. Look at that girl. She's still alive. I need to get her in the sun. I make a lot of plans, and not all of them are good, like putting a strawberry bed underneath a massive mature maple. She's not getting nearly enough sun under this canopy. So yeah, put strawberry bed on the list. Now we have some volunteer sunflowers popping up over here next to the currants. I have 2 currant bushes here, and these are actually delicious. You can't get these in the store often. Hey, little bumbler. I'm just hanging out. It's a hot day, bud. You might want to go down to the beach, get a drink. I got a pond in the middle of the field for you, and over there in the middle of the gardens. You got options, B. But look at all these currants popping on this bush. I am happy to see these. I know I don't have green currants. We're waiting for them to turn black or deep red. There's got to be 1 or 2, unless the birds have been getting them. I know the animals are quick to get my ripe berries. I don't see any, and I can't dig in there because I get poison ivy real bad, and that is poison ivy right there. I told my dad to pull that out. He doesn't get it, so hey, why would you walk through that? Don't walk through that. I pet you. But yeah, I get poison ivy real bad, and I don't want to get in there and pull that. And we don't do any spraying out here in the food forest. Oh, what are those? Oh, we got bugs all over them. Look at all the... Oh, I'm just going to have to sacrifice that. Yeah, I had to sacrifice a few of those berries there so I could just crush a whole swarm of those bugs. They look like either lantern flies or box elder beetles. I can't tell when they're little. And I just grabbed that poison ivy. You bugs. Look at them, they're right there. You bugs. Eating my berries. I guess I could get out here with some neem oil. That's all I can really spray. Neem oil, maybe some BT. Dang bugs. But I gotta go wash my hand now. I got that oil on it. Chickens, what? How'd all my chickens go running? You good, chickens? They all went running. Gotta make sure they're all safe. Everybody good? Rufio, tighten it up. Hold on, ducks, I can't let you out just yet. I gotta get to the sink and wash my hand. Now on every part of the poison ivy plant there's urushiol oil on it. It acts like an oil, so you have to get the soap and actually wash it off within 2 hours or it's gonna irritate your skin and cause a rash. Huh, pup, not everybody gets it, but I do. We'll be right back. Hey birds. Bunch of starlings. All right, now we're gonna head down. I'll give you an update on the vegetable garden and the pumpkin patch. Now, coming down to the vegetable garden, around the entrance, I do like to keep some perennials. We have the calla lily here that's getting completely taken over. We see you in there. Oh, geez. I'm not sure we're gonna get a bloom out of that calla lily this year. But we have the hibiscus over here, and we do have the gladiola popping up, the purple gladiola. And not just that one, we have a second one that popped up. I just saw those two out front, and I didn't weed back here because I didn't want to cut any of them down. And I do see one. There's a gladiola leaf in there. I'm gonna have to go in there and hand weed so I don't accidentally cut that one down. That'll be nice to have those popping up here in the summer. But you can see we have some beautiful color over here with the yarrow. Another gorgeous cluster of tiny flowers. And it's also a medicinal plant as well, so I won't mind if this reseeds. And behind it we have a yucca that's about to open up. That'll look real nice. Unfortunately last year my rising sun redbud tree died and I'm really not sure why. So that's unfortunate, but I would like to get that one replaced. Pup. You weeding for the gladiola? Oh, easy bud, that's a yucca in front of your face. Is there a mole in the ground? Easy in the garden, bud. Good. It's still standing. Oh, another one's popping up too. Good. Those were young gladiola bulbs, so I'm not sure if we'll actually get a bloom stalk to come off of them this year, but we might get them next year if they're perennial. Now there is some pruning I need to do on the old growth of this black tower elderberry. Hopefully we can get some size on this one because it's not going to bloom this year. I think we got too cold this year, so it ended up dying all the way back to the ground, had to regrow a new shoot. Now we also have some calla lilies popping up over here where I want to put a bench. Oh, that wind is coming. There are a few calla lilies over here. I actually have a rock. Now that rock is going to be the leg of a bench. I actually have a couple more rocks that I'm going to make a stone bench down here. But I don't have all the rocks here. The other rock I want to make the seat is actually up at little girl's house. But I guess we have had some calla lilies bloom and I didn't even see these down here. Some gorgeous purple ones. See, that's why I need more seating in the garden so I can actually come down here and see different things. Another little Shasta daisy about to open up over here. So I know the gardens aren't manicured right now, but we still have some blooms in the gardens, and if you just imagine everything all trimmed up and then mulched, it would look real good. One day, everything here is going to be looking great, but we need to just keep planting. Let's go inside and see how the veggies are doing. Now I did do some pruning inside the pollinator ring here on the butterfly bush because it was getting wild and it was just taking over all my gladiolas. I also have a lily in here that's going to be opening up. And it looks like we're still getting some buds on the butterfly bush, even though I gave her a late prune. But over here in the jade bed, the peppers are really starting to put on some growth. The calendulas are getting their first blooms in the middle here, drawing in all the aphids. And it's also bringing in the pollinators now that we're starting to get some blooms on the peppers. I think there's one right there. And since the pepper flowers aren't very showy, you want to get some other flowers in here to bring the pollinators close. I need to get a stake on my tomatoes so I can main stem them to one stalk. I haven't even pruned them yet, but we got a lot of wind with the rain yesterday and it blew some things over, especially over on my taller potatoes. They're not broken, but they laid over. Now my beautiful cabbage here is still doing well, and I'm trying to decide if I need to harvest this before it goes to 90 degrees on Saturday. I am getting some heads on here, firming up here in the center. Some are smaller than others. These three are pretty similar. But as we start coming down the line, we get some different sizes. These ones are pretty big here. I could definitely harvest these ones. That's a full cabbage right there. This one's a little bit more narrowed. and not as dense. But right beside it, this one, that one's pretty dense, but not as big. And then look at this tiny one. Some of them are heading up here. I'm getting decent heads, but I don't have a full harvest yet. Look at that mushroom. Gorgeous. Some of these have real big leaves, as you can see, but they have small heads, so it's like they just need a little bit more time. I just don't think they're gonna grow too well in 90-degree weather, even if I had a shade cover. So I don't know, maybe I'll just harvest the big ones and then see how the little ones do. What's going on here? That's a decent head right there. This one's getting a lot of sun. It's only half a head. This one looks pretty good, a little loose. And over here on the setting sun side, looks like some of them are smaller, and then we got some better ones over here. I'm gonna have to figure out which ones these ones are. They seem to be heading the best. These ones are heading pretty nicely as well. I like their shape. But whatever these ones are, they're pretty spread out. They're taking up a lot of space. And I mean, they're heading up too, but they seem to be a little bit slower than the other ones because they had to grow a lot of green leaves. Hump pup. I know I put some tags in here, but I'm not gonna find them until I harvest here. I'm not gonna be digging in there. Maybe. Can go back to the video. I'm pretty sure I had it on the video when we planted these. If you guys go back to that video, leave it in the comments down below. Which is which? Left to right. A, B, C. Hump pup. We have some lilies about to pop open over here. Look how gorgeous these are. Just plump little flowers. Well, buds. And like I said, the taller potatoes got knocked over, but I don't see any potato heads. But I am gonna have to get some more hay on here and hill around so we don't get any light shining down on the potatoes. This whole area fell over too. I don't know why. That's a little odd. We had both right sides of the bed fall over. These potatoes are all one kind, and then these potatoes are a different kind, but they kind of grew the same way. And over here in the pumpkin patch, we are getting some beautiful growth on the main pumpkin. We have 3 zucchini getting some size here on the end. And one of their first blooms. Hopefully that one got pollinated. Oh no, the main vine fell. I gotta get this in between the stakes. I had this one up, it somehow blew out. Easy now. Get back in position here. There you go. Heck, I need another stake. I'll lock this guy in place. There we go. All right, we are getting some good growth on the pumpkin right now, and I did actually pollinate a female flower this morning. Actually, 2 of them. The one on the right is kind of underneath the vine, so I don't think I'm going to be going with that one. It'd be nicer to go with this one. And look at that, we have a 3rd one popping out. I told you this plant had weird genetics. That's not normal. But I had 2 other female flowers that I didn't actually pollinate myself, and it doesn't look like the bees got to them, so they're rotting off. Which is fine, because they were a little bit too close on the plant anyway, but I do have a breakage on the main vine, so I'm a little bit nervous to set a pumpkin on the outside of that break. I mean, you can see there, she is healing up, but it's still an open wound. And with the breakage like that, it's like squeezing the hose, and I'm only getting half the water it could be flowing through. And I do imagine that would dramatically slow down how fast the pumpkin on the other side of that break would grow. But that was my first pumpkin to flower, and I want to make sure I pollinate every pumpkin and give myself the opportunity to cut it off later. Now, I did say in a short update that I am going to have to expand the fence over here, and I have not done that yet. I'm using the whole fence right now, and I already have a gap over there, and I'm actually reaching the fence on all sides already. So I am going to have to expand the fencing down here so Peter doesn't get my pumpkin. I see him all the time. Over here on the squash mound, we have the backup giant pumpkins, and even though this one has a weird color to her, she is still growing out here. Putting on growth every day, and the new growth is looking better than these older yellow leaves. We're not going to get those to green back up, but as long as the newer growth starts looking greener. I'm not doing any shaping to this one, and once it gets into the grass here, it's going to start rooting down into the soil and locking itself in place. So I just have to make sure I keep her watered whenever we're not getting enough rain. Now the one over here is doing a little bit better. This is the bonus 500, and that one was the Bobo Max. But this one didn't get the yellowing color as much as the other one, still in some places. But this one is growing in all directions right now. It's going down the backside, it's going out that way, and it's coming this way. So we're getting some good growth out of this one, and the more leaves it lays down, the faster it's gonna grow. Hey, there you go. Go off on your own way. And we do have a pumpkin right here. That is a prime position too. I'd really like to pollinate that pumpkin and try and grow a big one right here on the end. I can let the plant grow anywhere at once and I just set the pumpkin right there. That would work out. Pup, I'd really like to get a pumpkin set on all the plants before the end of the month. Well, maybe the other 3. I don't think I'm going to be able to set a pumpkin on this one. I'm just going to let these ones grow, and whatever nature provides, it'll provide. Maybe some decoration pumpkins out of this one and the one on this side. Puppy, you're getting some shade underneath the swamp white oak. Good. This one's getting thrown around a little bit. I better put a stake on her. Getting a lot of wind today. Not very big on these other 2, but hopefully we can still get some decorative pumpkins out of them. Echo Pup, is that poison ivy again? Why do you keep finding that stuff, buddy? Look at that, just waiting to climb up my oak tree. Puppy. We're getting some pretty nice shade out of this tree. And I planted this one, what, 8 years ago, I think. Right before I got Echo Pup. Alright, well I think that was a pretty extensive garden tour this time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to leave in the comments your favorite part. And if you have any questions about the gardens, make sure to leave them in the comments as well. If you want to keep following along with everything here at Whitt Acres, make sure to subscribe down below. Hit that like button before you leave and you can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching. Good boy.